Hey guys, I'm gonna do a video on titanium. I'm gonna do my top 3 or top 5 tips when working with titanium, your first time or any time, and how you can, you know, set yourself up for success. You're right out of the gate. So number 1 is cleanliness. I know you hear this all over, but it must be clean. Titanium is very sensitive to dirt, to grime, to anything that's not clean or perfectly, clean titanium, or no dirt, no grease, no grime, no anything. So right off the get-go, before you start touching it with your hands, put on a pair of gloves and never touch it with your bare skin, because the oils from your skin embed into the titanium pores and they're kind of tricky to get out. How I clean it is I either use I got it right here actually. This is denatured alcohol, acetone, or you can use the brake clean, the green non-chlorinated, not regular brake clean. Don't use that, or just don't even use brake clean. But the non-chlorinated is fine for the initial, fabrication, cutting and stuff. Right before weld, I take acetone. I wipe the whole piece down with acetone, and then right after the acetone, right before I'm welding, I use denatured alcohol. I think it's a little cleaner, and some acetones, depending on where you get it, or if it's not reagent grade, which I highly doubt you have reagent grade acetone because it's very expensive. It has a little film or oil when it dries, it leaves on there. So I use the either methanol or denatured alcohol. I think works best for that. So that's rule number 1 and the most important rule. Rule number 2 is purging. Whenever you weld, you must purge. If you can find a way to purge your tacks, that's even better, or that's what you're supposed to do. But not everyone could get purge behind a bunch of pie cuts or a bunch of tacks. It's very difficult to hold. So just when you tack it, do a little quick zap tack, and don't set the amps a little low so you're not penetrating all the way through, or try not to penetrate all the way through. So that's my second tip, is purging. Always purge. You can make yourself some of these aluminum foil plugs. This is just, I took a piece of round stock or whatever, and I wrapped a bunch of aluminum foil into it, and that fits in there just like that, real nice. And you could either use it for purging, or on the other side of, for venting. Just put a piece of tape on here and poke a couple holes. And yeah, I got them in all different sizes. These I just made. I also have little things that turn down in the lathe for this is 1/2 inch, 2 inch. I also have purge locks from 850 Fab before they were purge locks. These work great too. So anything you can do with purge, and if you don't have any of those fancy tools, tinfoil works just great. That's number 2. Number 3 is depending on the thickness of your titanium. This is 39. This is 4Al6V, so it's 4% aluminum, 6% vanadium. In this, you can get CP1, CP2, 4Al6V, all sorts of different things. But the 39 wall, I find that it's pretty difficult to get full penetration without beveling a little bit, or without using a ton of heat. I like my titanium beads to be pretty small and pretty flat, sort of I don't know if you can see that, like that. All these beads, I like them to be as small as I can be with getting proper penetration. And if you with stainless, it's super easy to get penetration. With titanium, it takes maybe double as much heat as you would think. So for a 49 thou piece of titanium, or a 39 thou, so 40 thou total, you'd probably have to run around 55 to 60 amps to get penetration. But you have to sit there and let it do its thing. You can't just zip right along. And my style of welding is I go by real fast, you know, fast dabs. I like to move fast in and out. So I find it very hard to get full penetration. So that's tip number 2, is to take it on a belt sander and give it a small little bevel. Not much, because it's only 40 thousandths thick. So just give it a small bevel, and that will set you up for success with penetration wise. And if you do everything right, you could get a real nice bead. If you follow those steps, you can get, this is for a wastegate. This is a pipe I'm doing on the car behind me. It's a Turbo Nova. It's going to go from 4 to 3.5 to 3 charge pipe, and this is the other. This is a Van Jane clamp. So all these steps I'm following, you know, with this build, and I'll try to get some more video of you for you guys for you know, how I do things instead of just talking about it. What else? What else can I tell you? Make sure you use the right filler wire. I know it's a little crazy to sound, or it sounds a little crazy, but I get some stainless rod that's like Dole, and it's exactly the same as titanium filler, CP1, CP2. So I sort of, if I don't, you know, if I'm leaving a small chunk on there, I'll pick up the 321 stainless. So don't use that. Make sure you do the right. Make sure you use the right filler. A weird way to tell is when you're dipping and it's the wrong filler metal, you'll know right away, because the filler metal you're adding in is pulling some of the puddle out with you. So that's a good way to know. As soon as you do that, stop and grind it out or do whatever you want to fix the problem. If you never worked with it before, I suggest getting that, you know, Tycon. So I get all my stainless from getting that little starter pack. I think it's around 20 or 30 bucks. It's a couple pieces of, you know, pie cuts, a few pieces of filler wire, and a few pieces of like flat titanium. Mess around with that. Also, you can electro-anodize titanium, which is cool. This is electro-anodized with my company's logo on them. This is all in the titanium. It's a little, the colors aren't as vibrant because I didn't polish it. I wanted to go for like a matte look. But yeah, you can do all sorts of cool stuff with titanium. They sell, Tycon that is, they sell all sorts of things. This is a methanol bung. They sell pie cuts, anything you can think of. They sell blow-off valves, all sorts of things. What else can I tell you about titanium? Maybe one more tip is gas coverage. Make sure you use a pretty big cup, and when you're welding, make sure you don't go more than around 15 or 20 dabs, unless you have a trailing shield. But I'm sure most normal, you know, DIYers don't have a trailing shield. So just use a, this is a number 16 Furic cup. This is a 14 Furic cup. I usually use the 20, the big, this is like the super Fupa, I don't know what the hell he calls it, but this is a 20. This I use around 35 to 40 CFH with this, and it works great. Yeah, just use lots of gas, and you know, only go about 10 to 15 dabs before stopping and letting your post flow run. And yeah, you should have that minimum of 10 seconds minimum. Sometimes you go up as much as 15 to 20 seconds. It all depends. For me, I never found that I needed more, but if I see I welded a little hot on that particular joint, I will like tap the pedal halfway through the 10 seconds or something to initiate, you know, the post flow cycle again. So you know, I'll do that. But as for now, that's my top 3 or 4 tips, whatever I said, on working with titanium. And a proper titanium bead should be, you can have straw, you can have perfectly silver, but other than straw and silver, it's not, you know, it's not, I mean, depending on what application you're doing. If you're doing aerospace, some just require silver, some require silver and straw. But if you have any sorts of blues or purples or anything like that, it's usually frowned upon and will fail tech or x-ray or whatever they're doing. But if you're just doing like car stuff, anything like that, you can color it. You could have a little bit of color, like you can see here. I have a little bit of blues, light blues, mostly straws and a little bit of gold, but for the most part, this is all pretty much silver with a small hue. And I welded this on the positioner, and this first bead was completely cold. I didn't let the second, when I did the second bead, I didn't let the first bead cool off. I usually let it cool in about 5 to 10 minutes, and I'll start on the second bead. I didn't do that for the second bead. I just went right away, and that's where you see a little bit of color. But as long as you take your time, let the post-flow cycle run, you should be good. So yeah, hope you learned something. All right, bye.